How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination all cranked up, get into some creativity, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from David Palumbo. And if you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. He is a wonderful painter, really great imagination. So let's take a look at a couple of his images. I really like this one. I thought this character was just really interesting. I like the way that he framed it as well. Just cutting off just the top and just the bottom is really interesting. This is a new thing that I'm starting to focus on for some reason lately, is how artists frame their work, what information they choose to cut off or leave in. Because I find that when I do compositions, I tend to do larger compositions where I want to show every part of like the body of a character. But I don't necessarily think that that's always the best option. So it's something that I've started to get into a little bit more. Like, see something here, cut off right at the legs where you could go further back and do that. And it's just interesting, and I'm always curious to know what the thinking was behind any of that kind of stuff. But he's a gorgeous painter. I mean, the choices of color are just phenomenal. And this is one of those things that you see in painting that you don't really think about. It's just the amount of different colors that are actually in here, where you really would only think he would be using like red and white and some black, but there's even probably, if I pulled this into Photoshop, this would be some blues and some greens in here, and just such a large palette of color that really brings the face to life. And it's just a gorgeous painting. I really like this one. I thought it was just a really unique idea, and again the face is just so well done here. This one was really great too. And this is like a mermaid, really interesting, and I love how it almost blends into the background as well. That it almost feels. It reminds me of there's a scene in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean where there's like a barnacle guy that pulls off of the ship, but he's like melted into the ship as well. It kind of reminds me of that same kind of a piece where it's the characters almost protruding from the background painting this, and it's just a really strong idea. Great stuff. So definitely check out more stuff from him. I'll throw a link in the description below if you guys want to see some more of his work. A gorgeous artist. This is a process piece that he has up there too, so check out the rest of this one. Really like that one though too. But I did want to share a quote that I was able to find from him, and he said, "It's important to remember now and again the inner drive and to not lose sight of that basic desire." This is a great one for me today. I feel like I'm hitting a little bit of a burnout today, and just a lot of work that took a little bit longer than it was usually does, at least. So it's great to take a moment to pause, to kind of meditate on, or think about, you know, what your goals are, where you came from, why you got inspired, and get into thinking about that stuff to try to get in a different mindset or frame of mind. So let's go ahead and get into some animation. I think this is going to be either the last part or the second to last part on this shot. We're using the Goon rig and Autodesk Maya 2014. For more information on that, check out the links in the description below. And let's go ahead and take a look at this thing all together. See what we want to hit up. I know I want to do some facial expressions, and I'd like to kind of retime the run again, although I think that might take a little bit too long. I just still feel like it's a little too fast. Almost another 2 frames per step would probably really work that up, but I might come into some problems there, so I might skip doing that, but we'll see. I know I want to hit up the face for sure, because we haven't really done anything with the facial expressions or the jaw or the mouth or the eyelids or anything there. Let's take a look at that run one more time. Yeah, there's just feels like there's some spacing problems. Even though I know there's not, it still feels like it could just use a couple extra frames there. Alright. So yeah, let's work on doing his face, do a couple facial expressions in there. I think we want to hit up, just trying to give us a game plan of where we want to work. I think I want to hit an expression here where he's kind of maybe an open jaw, kind of a shocked or unsure kind of a face, where he's just like, it's going to be a little bit more than I thought of. Kind of hit that expression there. It's kind of, and then we'll go into here and we'll hit more of a determined face. So maybe we'll bring the eyebrows down, kind of give him more of a jaw clench there. Then we'll just try and loosen up the jaw a little bit through all of this. Here we want to give him kind of a oof face, and we'll do an expression there too. Just kind of have those distinct acting beats for the face. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And we'll go ahead and turn our nerd curves on and start off here. Start off with a better expression to start with. Again, I'm not going to worry about the eyes. That's going to take a bit too long to really get the pupils tracked and everything in this shot, unfortunately. So we'll just grab those and plunk them over there. And down a little bit more. Over. His face looks a little goofy to me right here, so let's see if we can come up with something a little bit better right away. So let's mouth open, that over. I always like wide mouths for some reason. It's just an aesthetic thing personally. Get that lower lip curl and mouth down a little bit. Lower lip feels a little high. Put a little bit lower there. Just want to shape a more interesting face. Kind of neutral here though. Maybe it's a little too far. That's a little better. And let's look at the eyes here. I'm going to pull this a little closer just so that we can keep the controller in view here. And at this point, I think I'm going to bring those lower lids up a little bit more. And let's drop that eyebrow a little bit more here. And this one as well. A little less of, not expressionless, but a little less of that kind of one eyebrow up, one eyebrow down, a little more subtle there. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Mouth might be too low. So let's zero that out. Rotate that way. Go maybe a little more down on the lip there. And let's look here. Bring that down a little bit more. Puff it out a little bit. Let's see. And maybe give him a little bit of an underbite there. Or, let's see. Overbite, just a little bit. Okay, I feel like that's an okay facial expression to start with there. So let's make sure we grab all of our facial stuff here. And the eyelids as well. And we're going to key everything there, so we lock that in. just raise them up. So where was that first one here? So let's delete that and delete that. And if you notice, usually when I'm with my kind of workflow and how I approach stuff, I don't do anything really with the face. Maybe I'll do a couple key facial expressions. I try to get the body mechanics working and then get into the face later and kind of layer it that way. Just find that it's easier to kind of approach things one at a time for myself, rather than trying to do your facial expressions while you're doing your body mechanics and everything as well. So let's go here and we'll open the eyes up here. And really bring the eyebrows up there as well. And always remember, it's fun to do the expressions while you're making them yourself. I always find that I'm doing that myself. I'm always, if I'm raising the eyebrows up on my characters, I tend to do it on myself as well. So we'll go from let's grab everything on the eyebrows here. We'll leave that for right now. Okay, and then we'll want to hit this expression, which is what, make sure we're doing it on the right same frame here. Do a little bit of open jaw mouth here. Bring the corners of the mouth in and down a little bit more. I think I want to show a little more teeth. And let's pull those down a little bit as well. Okay, so I don't know if I want it as open. Depends though, because we're gonna be looking at this from far away, so I want it to read there, and we'll push the mouth down a little bit lower too. And then we can do a little bit less of that tooth there. And maybe we'll do a little bit of the lips pushed down there as well. Bring that down. Let's zero out the lips here. I feel like they're not working the way that I want. Bring that down. That down. That's alright. It works better from the side. It's a little janky from here, but it's just kind of some geometry there. Okay, so let's make sure we lock in everything we like here. And I'll go ahead and set that here. Let's go like that. Delete this. this one will have more of a clenched jaw. A little more focused look down. Okay, you're going to be sensitive then today, huh? Alright, so let's just keep that. I'll just bring it down a little bit. Why is it being so sensitive here? Come on. Again, it doesn't have to be super far down, but a little, just more like there's some focus there. Okay, let's clench that jaw a little bit more. Rotate it a little bit. Alright, that'll work. It's not great, but I want to still try and hit a whole face throughout this thing and add some variety and everything through it, so I'm not going to be able to get too into our posing. So we've got this, and we've got that. Okay, and again, we're just kind of hitting our main keys here with everything. I'll hit that, and let's put another expression here. And I think I don't want him to feel so smug there, maybe a little bit more like that, to bring the corners down, bring the mouth up, cheeks in a little bit. Eyebrow down a little bit more. Look at the eyelids. Let's make them a little bit heavier here. Eyeball down, over. Don't want to feel too sleepy. Let's bring the top of that lid up a little bit more. Again, I can push them over a little bit more. And let's bring this one up just a little bit more. They kind of look funky when they're off on these ones, but that's okay. Bring that down a little bit more. Kind of still like having a little bit of tilt in that jaw there. And we'll just bring a little bit of tilt in the mouth here too. Okay, and let's make sure we lock in everything here. And set that. So like that one. Again, I'm just deleting any extraneous keys in between our main keys that we have right now. Just gonna be our first one. This one, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, and then let's go back into right about here. And let's get those eyes working here. Again, I'm not going to track the iris too much, but I am going to build it into my main keys that I want to set here. So here we're going to bring brow down, really have him pretty determined here. Not angry, but definitely focused. And let's push the mouth a little bit more, a little bit squash and stretch on those sides, and that feels okay. So let's lock in everything we have here. And we'll set that. I think what was our last key? Is this it? There. That one. Delete this. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Put one in right about here. And maybe right about there. Kind of a gritting your teeth kind of pose there. Might be too much teeth. Down, put that one down. Again, the facial expressions on this rig aren't all completely the best, but definitely do enough to get us there. Put that down here. Put that down there. And bring eyelids up a little bit more. Eyebrows down a bit. More here. Bring that down. Ears up a little bit more and sink it in. He's exerting himself, so I want to get some. Might be a little too high on those. Bring those down a little bit more. Okay, like that works okay. Again, if we want to tweak any of this stuff, we can. We're just trying to build in our main poses here for our facial expressions. Yeah, set that. This is our last main key. Then we've got this one, so I'll delete everything in between. And I know like right here, I'm gonna want to do a big oof kind of a face. Okay, come on, nice. There we go. So we're gonna really wanna pump those eyes open again. So this is going to be completely wacky here. We kind of go a little nuts there. Take the jaw, and we'll shove the jaw forward here. And off to the side too, sure, why not? Whatever works. Okay, that's probably a little too far. Rotate it there. Rotate it there. the side here. Okay, I'm okay with a little bit of over-exaggeration even on one key or two there. Yeah, let's put our lip curl out there. Upper curl. Rotate there, rotate that down. What would be kind of fun too would be doing a little bit of tongue if we could get it to work there. Alright. Okay, sometimes grabbing controllers is a heck of a lot of fun there. Hopefully that won't come to bite me in the butt later if I'm moving that. Okay. Thought I can get a little bit of tongue sticking out. Again, that's way too much, but a little bit will be fun there. Just add a little bit of fun there. Maybe we'll do one eye more like that. Maybe we'll push the tongue over that way a little bit as well. See about our silhouette here, if that even reads really. Yeah, nothing that great. But still fun to do. Again, most of this stuff we won't really see, but it's important to still build it in there anyways. So, again, let's make sure we're getting everything keyed where we want it here. And grab all of these and set that there. Go back, where was our last key? Actually, you know, I feel like I grabbed something wrong there. No, maybe that's right. Last key was right there. Pretty close. About 144. Great. So that's where we have. So let's delete that. Delete that. Delete that. No, wait, I think that's the one we wanted, right? No, that was 144. Okay, so we wanted it there. So let's delete everything there. And then by this time we'll have, gotta get another pose in here. Okay, so let's go right here. Bring the eyes back down. I'll do more of a debonair style expression. So let's get the eyes back he's a little tired, a little more meditative. So we'll go ahead and close the eyes there. Eyebrows can stay up a little bit higher because he's not so stressed anymore. Translate in a little bit here. The lower lip curl out a little bit. Alright, that's fine. Doesn't have to be anything super exciting. So let's go ahead and grab everything there. And all of these. Again, we don't want to set that there, we want to set that more towards the end. So we'll delete that. And then we'll want to hit pretty close to that, right around when he hits there. Alright, so that's a real rough key pass on our facial expressions, so let's turn our curves off and just see how that would read from further away here. Yeah, let's look at how much time we spent on that too. We still have a good amount of time here. Okay, let's see. There we go. So let's see how that feels. One thing that I'm noticing here that's not really the same thing is just how the neck works on. I don't think we did a real great polishing pass on how the neck juts forward and then pulls back. There's must be some sort of fluctuation or fallacy in there. See, yeah, that's kind of crummy in there. So let's try and clean that up. So I like the posing there. That's fine on this one. Sorry about that. Let's put our graph editor back up here and minimize it a little bit more. Okay. But then when it hits there, I feel like that hits too soon. So let's delay that a couple of frames. That's a little better. Let's watch it again. Okay, like I said, there's nothing that we really need to add a whole bunch to, but it just felt a little jerky there. Alright, so jerkiness in that slide, but I'm okay with that because I think if it was a regular pull, you wouldn't necessarily, unless it's super slick, slide down in an even manner. There'd be a little bit of grit there, so I'm okay with leaving that in there. A little bit of stutter as you slide down the pull. Okay, so let's go back to what we were doing with the face. I think I'm just going to do kind of a slow in and slow out from some of these expressions. That's how I'm going to treat this, just so it's something that we can get some more variety in here, but and still approach it and get a good enough amount of information in there for where we're going. So we're going to take what we have about here and hold that till there. So there's still some movement there. Too. And then we hit about there. And we'll hold that for a little bit longer there too. Into that a little bit sooner. Definitely going to want to hold it for a bit longer. I'll hold it for a little bit longer than that. And get into that a little bit sooner. Set that and hold it a little bit more. So don't really want to be right there just yet. So let's take what we have at 151 so I can really pop into where we're going to be at the next one. Also going to have to grab the tongue eventually here too, because I don't want that tongue sticking through there. And let's also look at the eye placement. I want that to be forward here. And again, this is a very rough, animating 250 frames facial expression in an hour isn't going to be anything perfect, but we're just trying to get something that has a little bit of life into it. So a little bit of expression, and this stuff isn't really going to be seen from our camera angle anyways, but try not to cheat too much with anything and omit stuff. So shoot, now we're going to re-grab everything. That was okay. So let's grab everything again. Don't get distracted with any little details yet. We're still working on just a kind of slow in and slow out pass. Then I'm going to do probably a couple blinks in there and then redo the jaw a little bit more, because the jaw is going to be one of the few things that's going to be actually noticeable really in the final version. If we have some big bounces in the jaw, that's going to be readable there, and also the blinks are probably going to read pretty well. So again, we want to key everything there. I think I'll delete that one. Yeah, maybe we'll leave that there. I'll get rid of this. let's just look at the eyes and the jaw pretty much. So I want these eyes to try and stay somewhat in the right place here. So we'll just go to all of these keys that we put in and we'll just make sure they're in the right place they need to be there. Could be going up and over a little bit more. It's fine. You're still looking that way. It's okay. It's alright. We just don't want to lose the pupils if we don't have to. And get rid of that one so it'll still track there. Could be a little bit higher here. Try to rest them on one of the eyelids if I can on the keys there. Maybe a little bit lower there. Still in frame there, that's fine. And let's go here. Fine there. But I think I'm gonna get my eyelids themselves and zero those out. Zero that out. Zero that. Try and get something a little more of a breakdown in between here. There we go. Alright. Eyes are still sort of in the right tracking spot there. And again, this isn't a whole pupil pass. It's nothing super fancy, but just trying to get our main keys so that the eyes are staying there. Again, get them kind of looking downward. You tend to want to point the eyes in the direction that the body's going to be moving so that it gives them a sense of that there's some thinking behind that stuff for sure. And I'll plant those down there. Again, we want to keep that looking downward. Try and keep them still in frame there. blinks in there. Let's keep the eyes a little bit more, the eyelids a little bit lower, so you really pop them open. Do it pretty quick too. Do a little bit of overshoot there. And we'll key that. Throw a blink in there. Get out of there pretty quick. Make sure I have both eyes, and I'm just doing one of them there. Let's see. Alright, and then let's see. Try to do a blink every couple of seconds of animation there, so it keeps it alive there. So I think we'll put another one in right about here, just since there's not much going on there anyways. So grab those. Okay, let's make sure we're not doing a ton of lower lid here. Upper lid higher, lower lid lower. And bring that a little bit closer. Keep both of those. Keep there. Okay, so then we have a little. Okay, and then we'll go here. And right there, I think we do a blink there too. Tend to be on big movements, you'd like to do a nice blink. Alright. Hold that for a little bit more. Get into there. So it'll just be in that little portion there. Go here. I think we'll throw another one in after that big move here. I'd love to get in and do some more eyebrows and all that stuff, but it's not even really going to be seen anyways, but it gives us a chance to mess around with some facial animation here for a little bit. So, I think unless we really want to retime that run a little bit more, which we could do, I think we'll move on to a different idea tomorrow. I think this one's working okay. Definitely a couple things I would probably approach a little bit differently, but the main ideas are there. Probably we could retime some of this stuff a little bit tighter, especially that run, but I think the rest of it, it's the run and really this, I would probably slow down everything there a little bit more. So let's see, what are we doing on time? We're doing okay. Let's at least do that. I think we could do postpone something. So I'm just gonna pause this. I'm gonna save an alternate version real quick, just if I'm messing with time. Okay. I just pause when we're so again, just pretty much be adding about 2 frames in here. A frame here and a frame there. That's what we really want to do. So let's grab everything here and go 1 frame more there, and we want to throw 1 frame more here too, just to slow it down a little bit more. So let's see that now. Let's look through here one more time, see if there's any real spacing gaps. I don't think there is. I think it's just the playback sometimes isn't 100% at speed. Probably, if I was gonna redo this, I'd throw in a couple more frames there for that run. Just feel like it's always been one of those things that I think we ended up respacing it out a little bit more, and I think we probably should have retimed it a little bit more. But that'd be a whole nother hour on that, just getting that nailed in. But I think it works for the idea for it. But I like to, talk to you guys about when stuff works or when it doesn't, so that you know what to look for or not in your own animation as well. But I think the idea works on this. We got stuff working. We ended up doing even a little bit of facial animation in there too, which is always fun, even though you're not really going to see too much of it, but you can definitely feel it. And we got pretty close to having everything on ones. We've got a couple of those real slow moments there, but everything ends up being pretty tight still. Let's try and look at our, I think we could zoom in a little bit more. We just want to frame this a little bit better. So this is as far back as we need to go, so we could probably even zoom in here. And we want to frame, how high up do we need to go? It's about as up as we want to go. See, that's the up and down really. So let's see. I feel like that slide off the pole feels like it's working pretty well. Not perfect, but a little bit better. Now, one thing I'm noticing right now, just as I'm looking through there, getting a little bit of that elbow going through. See right there? So let's clean that up while we're looking at it. And this is one of those things where a lot of people say, like, when do you know when you're done with the shot? most animators will say they're done when it's due, like whenever you have to turn it in for your job. That's when you're done. But because you can always keep pushing things or retrying a different way. It's even though animation is a wonderful thing, I feel like unlike shooting a movie where you have actors and you have the lighting people and you have the crew, so you kind of have to get it in however many takes that your budget allows for. With animation, you're the director, you're the actor, you're the cinematographer, you're all of those things, so you really have a lot of control over, and you come up with the ideas and all that kind of stuff. So I think you could always push an idea further or in a different direction, so it's hard to know exactly when to say you're done with it. But like I said, I think this idea is working. It's definitely we could spend another couple hours at least polishing it up, and then we could probably try in some other acting bits, and try some other ideas in there as well. But I think at some point you got to know when's good to do it, and I think a week spent on this shot, because this is part 7, is plenty for that. But it's definitely one of the longer ones that we've done together, so I hope you guys are enjoying this series, and we'll probably play around with something quick. I know there are a couple people requesting different rigs that I try out and stuff, so maybe we'll just do a short, like 48 frames or something tomorrow, and then go into doing another long frame one after that, but we'll see. Who knows? So let's take another couple looks at this and see if there's anything else we really want to touch up here. And sometimes I watch it in XSplit instead, just because the frame rate's a little better. Let's see. Yeah, it's just the run that's really bugging me. I think I could have done a better job on that. Done it a little bit slower, and probably a little more space in there to get it all working correctly. But let's take a look at where we started. We look at the beautiful work of David Palumbo, and he said, "It's important to remember now and again the inner drive, and to not lose sight of that basic desire." And in my case, the way that kind of speaks to me is that remember those things that originally got you started in wanting to follow the path of whatever sort of creative medium you love. Find those original inspirations and those original people that inspired you and got you to want to try it out for yourself. And then think about one of these, it's kind of weird, but one of the chaos magic things is you have to know exactly what it is that you do want, or the purpose-driven life, or any of those kind of what are the secret, any of that kind of stuff, is you have to know exactly what it is that you want out of it. So try and figure out what that is too. If you just started out and you want to be you want to do your own comic book, then all the other things that are going to help you are great, and you want to learn that anatomy, you want to learn that perspective, and you want to learn the paneling, and you want to learn speech bubbles, and you want to do all that stuff. But in the end, you have to remember that the end goal is you want to create a comic book, and sometimes you can get lost in the minutia or the struggles along the way rather than looking at the whole picture. So figure out what it is that you actually want to do, and then work towards that goal, and take some refreshers sometimes to remember why you loved that medium and what it is that you want in the end to be able to share with people. So I love you guys lots. I think I'm getting a little rambly, but I'm having fun doing these long series with you. So I hope you guys are learning something, or at least learning what not to do or what to do along the way, and taking some time out of your day each and every day toward taking another step in your journey towards mastering whatever medium it is that you're passionate about. So I love you guys lots. I'm going to ramble on for forever if I don't end this. So thanks for all the likes and subscribes. You guys are amazing, and we will see you for some more animation tomorrow.